this particular session of this video, we're going to look at what the workflow of machine learning, like from that of the gathering of data to that of the model deployment. So I'm just going to make use of my word part to actually maybe try to draw circles and then try to give you direction, so we can actually tend to understand the rough sketch. Then before we actually write anything, we'll start to make use of anything. So I'm just going to come here and type my word. Consider as word pad actually. So this is it. Let me just open it up. Okay, so this is my word pad. Let's say I want to draw something. Let me draw something. So this is draw paint. Okay, let me just extend this a little bit. Let me go down. So, when it comes to this aspect of machine learning model, or you can say aspect of machine learning itself, the main core aim of machine learning, you need to actually have data available, because that is actually machine. Without data, you can't actually train a machine algorithm. When it comes to the machine, it's like I'm getting a data and then feed it to a mathematical formula, and then it will give you a predictive output. So this is what I mean. Let's say this guy is your what? This is your let's assume this is your data. Don't mind my writing. This is your data, and then once you get your data, the next thing that you are going to do with the data, you have to feed it to a mass formula. When I mean mass, let's assume this is a mass formula. This is a mass. Let me just give it mass formula, which we know they are not just basic formulas actually, because you know that when it comes to machine learning, they are makers of these small ones, but the mass behind this of the machine learning, they are more higher than just some of the basic mass. But those basic mass, they are more like a building block to them. So with this of the mass formulas that we have, then we can call it machine learning models, or I can say formulas. So, and then when you are done with it, the machine learning on its own will give you an output. Okay, let's assume that this is the output. Let me bring my face down here. This is more like the output. Don't mind my writing. So when we look at it, you see that the first step is the data. If the data is not available, you can't feed anything into this of the, I can say, the mass formula, or I can say the machine learning algorithms. You can't feed anything to it, and then you can't get an output. So when we look at it, let's say if we come to the problem solving, like in these three steps that we have here, which when we tend to split the problems by that of the over 100, so we can assume that this data, the gathering of data, is where the main problem actually comes, or where the main stuff, or the way the main thing that the gathering of data, presentation, I can say the sorting of data, the arrangement, everything that comes with data. We can fully assume that this almost contains almost like 60%. Remember that this is just my own assumption. This also just take almost to 60% of the problem. I can say most of the 60% of the tasks you have to do to actually get this output. So then after like I said, the gathering of the data, the pre-processing, the handling of the noise, and everything for the data actually takes 60% of your time, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that is actually more. So I think I'll just put plus here. I think 60% plus. That is just my old saying, not that the kind of global accepted distance. So when we come to this mass formula, these mass formulas are being it already exists already, but it's been created by all these smart guys actually there. Because these guys, I don't know how they actually think they come up with this kind of some mathematical formula. But don't worry, we're still going to see one of the basic, which is that of linear regression. I think most of us might have come in contact with this, so we're just going to refresh your head on that of linear regression. We're going to solve linear regressions, and then we're going to also look at that of I'm going to touch a little bit on that of logistic regression, also that of decision tree. But These formulas are already been created by some guys out there. So with the help of this formula, what we just do is to feed this data to those of the formulas. Remember that the bigger and more powerful the machine learning model is, the more complex the math becomes. And the math now doesn't actually depend on a particular so the math to solve that the math that model actually use doesn't actually just depend on one particular formula. It makes use of, I can say, up to more than 10, up to 50 formulas combined to actually make the predictive output. So let's say in a situation of linear regression, know that linear regression is that of the y equals ms plus c. So where the y is the next target you want to actually predict, and then y the m is the midpoint, x is the the fixtures that you're setting, and that of this c is that of the intercept. So we're still going to go in depth on more of these linear regression. But when we look at this, since the machine learning formulas already exist, but these machine learning formulas they are useless without the data. So I said to actually train your models, actually, because the whole lot of things that actually goes on with this of the that goes on this of the machine learning model. You need to actually, at times, you need to actually incorporate other sometimes when you apply this machine learning formula, some machine learning formula requires some kind of tuning for them to actually get the best output for you. So when we look at this, so you need to actually give your machine learning model a data. The machine learning model is going to predict the data, and when it predicts that of the data to get an output, then you need to actually do some feature engineering if in case the output you got that's not what you expected, and also you need to actually fine tune it. You need to actually do some kind of extra stuff. So I can, for my own rating, I can actually give this guy 200 of the program is actually that of the 39%. So when you look at this guy is actually 99% in total. So and the output we can just assign it 1%. One thing about the output is that the output might have this 1% to this. Remember that these are just what I just assigned to them. This is not actually like a global type of stuff. These are just what I just assigned for them for my knowledge. So when we look at this, the output that we get here, the output actually in one way or the other connect back to the remaining data and this of the machine learning model. If the output you got, for example, is not actually what you want, you know that automatically you have to go back to this of the data side to actually pre-process your data, to actually handle noise and who actually do a whole lot of things, and then come back to this machine learning model to actually optimize it a little bit more, to actually tune it, and then to go back to the output. You can see that these three guys tend to run in a loop. So I say that this is why I didn't actually give this output more of the weight on it, is that because most of the time if you actually know what you did on your data, maybe your data is not noisy, and then your machine learning model, that you use this powerful enough. Let's say example, you're using let's say you're using a supervised learning model like that of the LGBN classifier, SB booster, or maybe CAT booster, all these big guys. Let's say you make use of them. So you can see that they tend to actually fit really well with almost type of data, and they are really fast to actually train. So your data is not noisy, your machine learning model is actually powerful. So the output at times does not actually go back to that of the data. At times where it goes from data to machine learning model and then just to the output. That just, like I said, this is not actually a type of global, a global type of global rating or anything. This is just basically what I just assume from what our things I've done on machine learning, make use of these machine learning models out there. So I said this is the data. This is where every pre-processing, everything that you need to actually get your data is ready. The gathering of data actually exists here. This is this particular point. That's where you'll be hearing of make use of APIs, free APIs, and maybe paid APIs to actually grab your data. And then also, this is where you'll be hearing of web automation or web scraping. All these guys actually falls on this of the gathering of the data, because that's why I rated it 60 plus at times, because it can to gather data or to get data is not easily available. Some data are not easily available. Let's say the data you want to actually gather is actually to actually maybe image recognition, maybe to actually recognize different plants out there. Some of these data is, but let's say is maybe the data I want to actually get, or the machine learning you want to actually predict, or the output that I want to actually get, maybe something that has not been done by anybody. You can see to get that type of data, to get it, because data is the starting point, can be a little bit harder than you might think. So at times you might have to end up with a web scraping. At times you might have to pay for data, maybe if it's available, or sometimes you have to actually make use of APIs, and at times you need to actually manually meet people around to actually as a request for them to actually maybe help you to gather some data. So with all these stress that actually comes on this of the data side, that's why I gave it rated it 16. And then applying the machine learning model itself. The machine learning model itself, because this is why I gave it 39, is because you need to actually understand how these guys actually work. I know that sklearn tend to make things a little bit easier, so that's most of the time you don't need to actually kill yourself stressing, or maybe doing start writing everything from bit. sklearn tend to make things a little bit easier to actually implement, even similar to that of the TensorFlow, but TensorFlow is not as easy as that of the sklearn to actually implement some of all these guys. So you can say that you need to actually understand it. If you don't fully understand, you need to actually have a basic understanding of how the machine learning model actually works. So before you can apply it, not only applying it is not even actually where the main thing actually starts. You need to actually tune the model, because for linear regression, for basic I can say the one of the smallest I can say one of the weakest on the chain, I can say on the blockchain. For like example, if you take that of the linear regression, which is actually one of the smallest on the blockchain, so it doesn't actually need more tuning. But as you use more and more powerful models, you can see that you have to actually tune the model. It provides that of the parameter that you can actually tune. Like what I mean by tune, like if you use something like LGBN classifier, you hear that for even as we go, even decision tree, you need to actually try to tweak that of the mass depth, that of the leaves, norm leaves, and a whole lot of other things. You need to actually tune each of them by making use of maybe grid search, random SV, or Optuna, or there are a whole lot of them to other algorithms there to actually tune your machine learning model. So you can see this processing of a gear is not as hard as this data collection, because data collection can be really harder than you expected, but the training of the model can be a little bit similar, but it can be a little bit simpler. Doesn't mean that it's easy as you think. So if you get this guy good, and then the output, why this is why I gave the output shouldn't even have any percentage on it on the stress. So the reason why I even gave the output 1%, because the output actually at times they actually shows how you work on that of data, and the output actually in one way or the other refer back to this of the data and this of the machine learning model. So there are some other things that actually look on that we can actually talk more on this of the machine learning, but as we go on, we're still going to see how all these things are being done, like for that of the gathering of data, the presenting of data, the structuring of data, and a whole lot of other things. And then we're still going to go to this of the training of the machine learning model. And when we're done training that, the output also have to do with that of the deployment, maybe selling it out, maybe in case somebody is really interested in make use of the model, selling it out, sharing with friends. This is more like the output side. So I think this give us a rough sketch on how this machine learning actually works, machine learning model actually works. So, but don't worry if you are still getting it confused. as we go on, you're still going to understand it really more. So if you find this video anywhere useful, subscribing is going to be a problem. So I'll be happy to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.